Dr. Tony Huge of EnhancedAthlete.com here with Coach Trevor talking about beginner steroid cycles because this is the number one question I've gotten from Snapchat, you guys, this week. What's the standard and or recommended beginner's steroid cycle, Trevor?
Smaller you start with from the beginning, the better you're going to have down the road. If you're starting with 2, 3, 4 compounds or doing high doses from your very beginning, what are you going to have to do later on? So the least you can get away with, the better. And I remember my first was just 1 mil of tests a week. I put on 15 pounds.
Wait, 1 mil is only 250 milligrams.
Yeah, I did it once a week. That's all I could afford. And I was 18 and a half. And I went up about 15, 20 pounds in the first 4 or 5 weeks. And I had the same workout style, and all my weights went up every single week. And my diet was regimented, everything was regimented, and I got great results off that.
How long was the cycle again?
It was about 10 weeks. That's all, because I got two bottles. I saved the other one. So yeah, it was a 10-week cycle, and that was it. I didn't know what I was. I knew what I was doing. I just didn't have the funds, and so that was going to be my base. See how it went. See if I wanted to do something in the future. And I would just say, so the less you start with, the better.
What type of testosterone was it?
Enanthate.
Test enanthate. Okay. And did you inject one cc once per week?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What side effects did you experience, or could someone expect to experience from 1 ml of test per week?
Even at 18 and a half, libido went up. My aggression, not so much. You feel a little sometimes, but the strength was the biggest thing. Strength was first thing that went up, and it went up every week. And I just started getting fuller. And 15, 20 pounds, getting fuller and stronger, I think that's most everyone should get that. If you're on something real and it's your first time, if you're not getting that effect, your diet's not regimented, your training's not right, or you're taking something that's not what you think it is.
All right, but those are effects. Those are all good things. What about the negative things? What did you experience?
I didn't, and I was prone to acne in high school. I had it really, really bad. I have scars from it. And I never even got that. I was on, in high school, I had to go on, what is that? I can't think of it.
Accutane.
Accutane. I had to do that twice in high school. So I never really got acne after that. And even when I started running it, I never got it until I started messing with higher doses of testosterone bases, not controlling my estrogen. Anytime my estrogen was up, I always started breaking out. So
first cycle ancillaries, like did you need any estrogen blockers?
No. And you know what's, I messed up too because it was a money issue. I shouldn't have been doing it, but I wanted to do it and make that choice. If this is something I want to do, if I'm going to be comfortable with for doing it the rest of my career, if bodybuilding was even a career I wanted to get into. So I didn't even post-op.
No post-cycle therapy.
No. And that was my first mistake too, was just doing it. But second, I didn't do a post-cycle. And the only thing that really happened, I did start gaining some bad weight after, and I started a nighttime job, and I started getting a little chunkier. It was just the emotional side effects, and that was the hardest thing to deal with. And
how long did it take your body to recover and start its testosterone production again?
I didn't do the lab numbers at that point, but it was about 4 weeks from 5 weeks when my head kind of came to better, because I was getting those up and down crashes. You're at a red light at 1 second trying to kill someone, and then you're crying watching a TV ad with puppies and Sarah McLachlan talking. But that was just me. I know people that come off fine that never posted. That was just my thing. So estrogen is something you always need to control. And I think that's why I didn't get side effects on my first cycle, because I was only doing a mil of tests. And so I was getting slightly more than I was producing naturally, not too much more estrogen.
The online forums usually recommend 500 milligrams of testosterone as a first cycle, and maybe a kickstart with the first month of D-ball at between 25 and 50 milligrams.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
I put on 15 pounds solid just off a mil of tests. And why would you want to take more? You're not necessarily going to grow that much more. Your strength goes up so fast. If you were to take D-ball, you're going to put on extra weight. You might put on a little more muscle, but you're going to put that much more strength on. So you go from naturally benching, say, 225 for reps. Now you're benching 315 in a couple weeks. So the stress and strain that puts on your shoulders, your body, something's going to happen. Your body can't grow its ligaments and tendons, strengthen them at the same rate your muscles are. So if you keep that up for too long, those things kind of come back. And if you're putting on that much why do you want to gain that much weight that quick? Everyone's really focused on the short term, just grow, grow, grow. But then you start getting those big waves because you got to eat the part too. So if you're trying to put on that much, you got to eat the part. Weight starts growing. That's where people mess up.
I think this is funny because here's the guy that's taken 30 units, 3 vials of growth hormone per day, massive amounts of insulin, many, many grams of gear, and he's saying that a first cycle is 1 ml of test per week.
That's what I did.
So you're really into the idea of starting really low and then what each cycle after that increases?
Yeah, I mean, why would you start that high? It's there's no point. And then
So
you
someone
don't know your
shouldn't-
threshold. You don't know your side effects.
So
you
someone
don't-
shouldn't start with growth hormone.
No.
Someone shouldn't start with insulin.
No, you
Someone
want to do
shouldn't-
them in increments. You can always track your progress. You can always track your side effects. You always track these things. So if you start on 3, 4, 5 compounds, you don't know what did what. You don't know what's causing this water. You don't know what's causing this to grow and everything else. If you do them incrementally, you know the effect of everything you put in your body.
Because everybody's body is
Yeah.
different, and you need to experiment with how these compounds work
Yeah.
with your own body, and how are you going to know if you take them all at once?
Yeah.
What's
And
doing what?
even I give advice, and truly everyone is different. I can give you my advice. That 1 in 10, 1 in 20, it might not work on that person. So that's up to you. You'll know how it works, but you got to take those steps. It seems like it takes longer, to figure it out. But then 10 years down the road, if you're still doing this, you're healthier. You know it works. You know your body. You can do anything. You can conduct an orchestra with your body once you know how all these things work in your body. So.
All right. Disclaimer, this is not medical advice. Testosterone is prescription medication, only be taken under the supervision of your doctor. We're not recommending or advising anything. This is for informational, educational purposes only. Be swell and swole, my friends of freedom, my pioneers of human evolution. Best first testosterone cycle. I'm Dr. Tony Hughes here with Dr. Tim, the real doctor at Maxima. He's probably a little bit offended every time I call myself doctor.
Not at all. You're a insurance doctor, yeah?
Yeah. So at Maxima Performance in Bangkok, Thailand, and Pattaya, Thailand, one of the world's most knowledgeable doctors on TRT, because he does a lot of experiments, and a lot of that doesn't get explained until later because he experiments and then reports his discoveries after. And one of the discoveries he found is that HCG can be really effective at increasing natural testosterone levels, and this might be an alternative to actually using testosterone as a first cycle. There's a big debate over what's the best first steroid cycle, and some people say, oh, it should be an oral steroid like D-bol. Some people say, oh, it should be testosterone only on 150 milligrams. Some people say 300 milligrams. Some people say, if you're going to suppress your natural testosterone, you might as well go balls to the wall and increase the dosage. We've got a different proposal. It's not a proposal, it's not advice, but it's just an experiment that's been proving effective, which is to start with HCG with no testosterone. Why would we do that? And can we actually build muscle with that?
Well, it depends on, genetics is always a factor. When you use HCG as your sole monotherapy, so to speak, it really depends on your lifestyle, because what we're doing is maximizing your body's ability to make testosterone. So I'll just give you kind of what happens. Every guy that comes in here who's under 40, for me, testosterone is not even an option. I'm looking at HCG first, and I explained to them that we're going to do this first. They start using it, they feel great. So what invariably happens? They go out, start partying more. They're out, on the night, drinking more, and that kind of goes against everything that we're doing, because now we're trying to maximize your system, and you're going against your system. So they feel good for the first 2 weeks, then they come back. I feel bad because, alcohol and testosterone just don't mix. But if they stick to the program, to answer your question, yes, we've seen some very good progress, very good gains, very good emotional and psychological improvements. And the best thing about HCG is, if you ever decide you don't like it, you stop, that's it. There's no PCT, because we didn't do an invasive therapy changing your whole system. We just enhanced your system. The analogy I like to use is, when you're doing a remodel, you have 2 options. You can knock the walls down, build new ceilings, new floors, or you could just put wallpaper and paint, make things look nicer. HCG is the latter. It's non-invasive. It just makes things look nicer with what you have. Testosterone TRT is very invasive. Now there's a recovery period that's involved.
In the next video, we're going to talk about whether we need to be taking an aromatase inhibitor like exemestane, aromasin, anastrozole, or Arimidex along with the HCG first cycle.